Pac-12 reaching their hand out of the grave, and they have added Colorado State, Fresno State, Boise State, and San Diego State. The 2-pack is now the 6-pack, all right? So how did this all happen? What's next? Why now? To break it all down, man, you know him as Portal Pete Nakos. Pretty much does everything for us here at On 3. He's Pac-12 Pete Nakos today. Pete, 1, what's up, brother? So dope to have you in studio and not on the monitor right here. 2, what is going on? How did this happen?
What's going on, man? So news broke last night, right? Yesterday was a big day of board meetings for those Pac-2 schools, Oregon State and Washington State, and then obviously Boise State, San Diego State, Colorado State, and Fresno State, all kind of coming together, trying to pound this thing out. News broke last night. It's official. Broke at 9 a.m. Eastern time today, and Washington State and Oregon State had that scheduling partnership with the Mountain West, and now we kind of see that crumble apart, and instead it's the Pac-12 going back, taking arguably the top 4 schools in the Mountain West, bringing them over to the Pac-12, and we're going to get into this more, but creating one of the more interesting, college football conferences right now.
College football sickos, Pac-12 After Dark is about to be back. Make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel so you don't miss a minute of the coverage we have for you around the greatest sport on the face of planet Earth. And so the beautiful part about you being in Nashville is like this breaks this morning.
Yep.
I get to walk over to your desk and say, dude, you want to jump on the show? And you're like, yeah, of course, let's do it. And the first question is like, well, hey, you got 6.
Right.
Probably don't stop at 6. I don't know if you can stop at 6 and have a conference. I say that, and they have a 2-team conference right now, so I mean, like, more power to them. I'm looking at the ACC. And you're like, looks a little Jenga towery, all right? I mean, you pull one block out, and that whole thing kind of crumbles a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that where you should look right now if you're talking about teams to add to the Pac-6, the 6-pack right now?
So let's break it down a little bit. So you now have 6 teams. The 4 teams will join in July 2026, so there'll be another year of the Pac-2. Okay. As part of this, the NCAA has a rule that you need to have at least 8 teams to be an FBS Division I school. Okay, so the NCAA gave the Pac-2 a 2-year grace period that obviously ends in the 2026-27 year, just as those 4 schools join. Now you need 2 more. So where do you turn? So the ACC is interesting, right? A little wobbly right now with these Florida State, Clemson legal disputes. We don't have any inside info there, but the one thing to keep an eye on, right, is Cal and Stanford left the Pac-12 last September for the ACC, and now the attention turns, okay, there's a year for this thing to come together, right, before they need those 2 more teams. Do Cal and Stanford come home to the Pac-12? And while my Twitter mentions are blowing up right now about this, I will say that it makes a lot of sense on paper. Athletes would prefer to stay closer to campus rather than seeing their athletic schedules taking them across the country. So that's something that really needs to be monitored. If that is to happen, though, it also means that some movement's going to happen on that Clemson, Florida State legal side.
How difficult is that? Because, like, I'm just thinking about this from a relational standpoint. It's like, hey, you broke up with us, you went to the ACC, and then you come right back to us once the ACC looks a little bit wobbly. Like, am I stretching in the sense that, like, there could be some relational damage there for the people having that conversation when it comes like Stanford and Cal and all that?
We're going to get into it more, and there's some other schools to watch. I just think, though, that those are 2 really big brands that if they're on the table, I'm not exactly sure if the Pac-12 can pass on. They open up the Bay Area. They open up more of Southern California. Those are major television markets, and it's not a shot at any of these other group of 5 teams.
Sure.
But Cal and Stanford are very well-established brands that only elevate the Pac-12.
And you actually have an article out right now on all3.com, so y'all go check that out. Pete has a ton of great work on all3.com on the written side of things, as well as jumping on the hard count whenever he has time. You mentioned a couple other schools, Memphis, Tulane in the mix. Are those schools to watch as well, or who else maybe outside of the ACC is maybe a potential addition to this new 6-pack?
So the 3 American Athletic Conference schools that we have our eye on are Memphis, Tulane, and UTSA. Those are all in the Central Time Zone, okay, right? The Pac-12, even though with these additions they don't have any schools in the Central Time Zone, that's appealing when you look at it from a television standpoint, and that's what a lot of this really boils down to. Memphis is obviously offers a lot when it comes to football and basketball. They also have the resources, right? We saw that $25 million commitment from FedEx when it comes to NIL. So Memphis is there. Tulane has really emerged as one of the top group of 5 football programs in recent years. And then you look at UTSA. In San Antonio opens up the Texas market, which the Pac-12 does not have right now. That is extremely valuable. And then you look at what Jeff Traylor's done there too. That can't be undersold. So those are the 3 American Athletic Conference schools I'm looking at. There's a few more though, I think, that we're going to dive into now too.
And there's always 2 sides to a breakup, right?
Yeah.
Like we saw when Texas and OU left the SEC, the Big 12 kind of had to figure out what they were doing next. Now with the Mountain West losing some key additions, like there's, the Pac-12 is celebrating today, but there's, probably some folks in Mountain West country that are like, okay, what do we do now? Because now we need to find a way to probably, add some teams as well. What happens there?
So the Pac-12 isn't done, right? So if the American athletic schools don't work out, if they can't get Cal and Stanford, then they pivot their attention to the Mountain West. And teams to keep an eye on there to make the jump to the Pac-12, that's going to be Air Force, right? That opens up Denver. You look at a Wyoming, UNLV, that's Las Vegas. And then the other school to kind of keep an eye on is New Mexico. That kind of rounds out the schools that we're keeping an eye on. This is all prediction time now, right?
Sure,
These are
yeah,
all hypotheticals. But
I love it.
If the Pac-12 does dip back into the Mountain West and it kind of leaves the Mountain West hurting, or if we see the American Athletic down some, I think there's going to be a national conversation that goes on of, do the American Athletic and Mountain West try to come together with some sort of a partnership it's only going to strengthen them. It'd be a more appealing television contract for someone. So those are kind of what we're looking at right now. But man, today is all about the Pac-12. And the Pac-12 is back. And,
Pac-12 is back.
It was only fitting that news broke last night after dark.
Man, see, that's what people didn't even put their finger on. It's like, hey, after dark, when everyone's gone to bed, much like those games that we have enjoyed for the better part of the last, I don't know how many years, news breaks. That's big time. Now, you and I talked about this before we got on the air here. Like, I think there's a lot of feelings around how you would view this new Pac-12. Because before it was like, oh, yeah, Power 5, Pac-12. I mean, Oregon and USC. And, like, now it's doesn't have quite as much shine, no knock on the Pac-12. Feels like maybe the sequel to the Mountain West, and good for the Pac-12 for being able to sustain themselves. Do we still view the Pac-12 as like a power conference? It'd be hard for me to do that. What about you?
I view the Pac-12 now as a group of 6, right? We had the group of 5. It's going to become the group of 6. The Pac-12 had that opportunity to kind of partner with Mountain West. Everything I have been told is maybe the Mountain West had a lot of leverage, but it just didn't really go. The pressure they put on the Pac-12 was not well received, and that kind of puts the Pac-12 where it is now. The other thing, though, that you have to look at when you look at the Pac-12, talking to some sources, they evaluated their brand, their resources. What the Pac-12 has to offer right now is arguably still trying to get in that Power 4 level, right? They already have some studios so they can broadcast games. The brand recognition, right? We know the Pac-12 a lot better than the Mountain West, right, when you mentioned names of conferences. So that won the day. That's kind of why the Pac-12 made the decision to really get aggressive when it came to realignment, and that's kind of where we ended up as of right now.
Last thing for you here, Pete. Everyone now is looking at the college football playoff and auto bids and all that. And at first I was like, oh, this could actually maybe spice that up a little bit because of what we just said with how you view the Pac-12. And then I kind of settled in and I was like, well, actually, unless they change the structure, unless they change who gets an auto bid, which could obviously be on the horizon, things kind of stay the same. Like top five conference champs get a seat at the table.
Yeah, things aren't really going to change right now. You get the Pac-2 moving forward; those are viewed as independents right now. When it does get to the Pac-6, the Pac-12, whatever you want to call it, I think they'll be more recognized as a group of 6 school rather than Power 4 school. The one other thing that that's going to kind of be worked out in the future, we don't have the answer for right now, right? That 26-27 year is when the new college football playoff media contract starts. In terms of monies, like, does the Pac-12 have the opportunity to go back to the table and renegotiate with like 6 to 8 schools and get some more money paid out to them? That is going to have to be worked out in the future.
A lot of buzz around that 14.
Yeah.
A lot of buzz around Madden, a couple teams, and then I'm just riffing here. Feels like if I'm the SEC and the Big Ten, I don't allow other conferences to have more auto bids. And I don't know if there's like any intel on that, but I'm like, hey, if anything, we're going to take some more bids for our conference.
Right. So you look at the current model. This is year 1 of the 12-team college football playoff. So there's 5 automatic bids, right, for the 5 highest conference champions. Then you have the 4 who get the first-round buys. I don't really see that changing. All the other conferences don't want automatic qualifiers for the Big Ten and SEC, right? Obviously, the Big Ten and SEC would like that, but
sure.
I think there's going to be a lot of pushback on that. So we'll have to see how things work out. If anything, though, for the Group of 5 and now Group of 6, it just means more competition to get that that spot for the Group of 6 conference champion.
Dude, wild times.
Yeah.
Wild times in college football. Dude, I'm so glad you're in Nashville so we can do segments like this. I don't have to blow you up when you're in Ohio and be like, hey, can you jump on? Like, can you make time? Also,
I'm happy to be here.
Dude, you're looking fresh. Like we just signed with Roback again. You look, I mean,
we got some Roback on.
Creme de la creme, dude.
We're trying.
Unbelievable.
I appreciate that.
Let's go. Best in business, Pete Nakos. Thanks for making time, brother.
You bet, man.
The Money Game is out this week over on Prime Video, exclusively on Prime Video. I'd recommend going and checking this out. Compelling 6-part docuseries that chronicles the introduction of the groundbreaking decision by the NCAA to grant name, image, and likeness rights to student athletes, permitting them for the first time ever to earn endorsement compensation while maintaining their amateur athletic status. So essentially, NIL is a new thing. This docuseries gives you a tremendous view into what that's like for some of these athletes. Some of these athletes that are high profile as well. Provides all access pass inside LFU athletics. Docuseries will examine the impact of NIL rights on college athletes as seen through some of the top athletes at LSU. So you got Angel Reese in there. You got Livy Dunn in there. You got Jaden Daniels in there. Really insightful. Go check it out. Again, on Prime Video. Would encourage you to watch that. The Money Game. Okay? Already out from executive producer and LSU alum Shaquille O'Neal. So The Money Game is out now. Would encourage you to go check that out and let us know what you think. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.